we are off and underway. Here comes the chase behind. It's a steep climb. This is a good move now. Can he try and hang on? Lines up for the sprint. Can he steal this one? Is he going to take the stage? Yes, he is.
Hello, welcome to Warrington. Matt Barbett here for the culmination of Stage 5 of this year's AJ Bell Tour of Britain. In front of these famous Golden Gates, Queen Victoria's loss, very much Warrington's gain. And we're hoping for a gilded finish from the sprinters here later on. But they're going to have to go some to beat yesterday's epic on the Great Orme.
This year's Queen Stage began from an almost standing start in Aberaeron, but once they were pedalling, 6 managed to escape. Local Ribble well-tight rider Griff Lewis was there on his home roads, and no surprise that sprint and mountains leader Jacob Scott was too, but his consistent commitment is still incredibly impressive. Yet again, the man from Canyon DHB Sungod would do enough to secure both the Iceberg sprints and the Skoda King of the Mountains jerseys for another day, while his colleagues in the break had a bit of a rocky ride, striking pedals and dropping bottles. Stage 4 would be far from routine though. 3 chasers then bridged across before they were all swallowed up by the peloton in the shadow of Conwy Castle. Another 3-man attack would ultimately fail too, as the big men from the big teams made sure their stars were best positioned for the final assault. A kamikaze effort from Movistar's American Matteo Jorgensen as the peloton rounded the headland ultimately came to nothing before the favourites hit the bottom of the final lung-busting climb of the Great Orme.
These two doing a brilliant battle at the top of the Great Orme. Van Aert alongside Alaphilippe. Van Aert over the line, but only just. Van Aert takes the win from Julian Alaphilippe.
So all change at the top of the general classification after Stage 4, with Wout van Aert back in the blue leader's jersey, taking it off the shoulders of Ethan Hayter of Ineos Grenadiers. Julian Alaphilippe rounds out the podium.
Joined right now by Pippa York, winner of the Mountains classification at both the Tour and the Giro. But yesterday was something quite different, Pippa. In some ways harder than those Alpine stretches?
Definitely a lot more intense. It hurts you a lot more. And it's one of those savage efforts you have to do if you want to win on that kind of finish.
How good was it to see those two, though, going toe-to-toe in North Wales?
That's fantastic, and I can imagine, the photos that's going to give afterwards is just going to be great. Probably on a number of people's walls afterwards, it's going to be very inspiring for young riders.
Yeah, it's a good point, hugely inspiring to some of the younger riders in the peloton itself. Can we expect to see those two, though, duking it out at the World Championships in Flanders in a couple of weeks' time?
I think that's probably the plan of the organisers. And, obviously coming here at Tour of Britain, ideal preparation for that type of course and that type of finish.
Yeah, inspiration runs right through the whole peloton for various different reasons. One man hugely inspiring to me in particular is Will Bjergfeld, the oldest man racing this year at 42. Not only that, he is officially a paracyclist too after an accident some 5 or 6 years ago. Let's hear from him now.
In 2016, I was looking to try and get myself onto a continental team so I could fulfil a lifelong dream of being at the Tour of Britain. Whilst I was out training, I was descending off the Mendips, basically following a car and a van. As the van went around the corner, I was in the middle of the road. The car coming head-on towards me was in the middle of the road, and so the front corner of that car collected the front corner of my leg, flipped me up onto the windscreen, over the roof and down the road. If I hadn't been wearing a helmet that day, I wouldn't be here now. I had a brain bleed, broke my pelvis both sides, I broke my left femur, completely shattered my lower right leg, so the tib and fib. They've put lots of titanium plates and screws in place to hold everything together, so I think my legs now are more metal than they are anything else. I was kind of warned that whilst I was in hospital I wouldn't race a bike again, and I wanted to prove people wrong. So, the physio sessions that I was set whilst I was in hospital, I didn't do them once a day like I was told. I did them 2 or 3 times a day. I basically went to an old friend of mine, Andy Wadsworth in Bristol. He got me back on my bike again through doing a load of rehab, and so, I was racing again by April. I was good friends with a guy called Adam Duggleby. He told his coaches on the British Paracycling Olympic squad what had happened to me. So British Cycling very much focused on what they had to do, job in hand with Rio, and then basically 2017 brought me on board to work towards Tokyo and possibly Paris. I went out with my lad on our mountain bikes and just went across to a local woods. Unfortunately, I tripped over a tree root or slipped on a tree root. in the woods and basically fell onto a rock. And yeah, that rock basically broke my fibula, so that on the lower sort of left part of my leg, snapped it clean. So it was a clean break. You know, I knew the night that I did my leg, I knew that Tokyo was gone. Tour of Britain has been a life goal for me since before I was a paracyclist. You know, it's been a life goal for me since 2009 when I switched from mountain bike to road racing. So it means absolutely everything for me to be here now. I'm not here just to take a ticket, you know, or anything else. I want to race this race. I want to get an experience out of it, and I also want to inspire people. You know, anything is possible if you believe in yourself. I truly believe that. You know, I mean, I've been through so much, and I'm here now. I'm racing this now, and I want to inspire, you know, people that, you know, have been told they can't do something to actually go out there and be able to do what they really dream of doing.
Pippa said it the other day when Will Bjergfeld got in the breakaway. To see someone in their 40s actually cutting it at this level is massively inspiring for weekend warriors like me who like to go out there and pretend we're still Mark Cavendish at the weekend.
Yeah, it gives everybody hope that even when you get into slightly older age, that, you know, experience matters in those circumstances. Yeah, really, really nice to see.
Yeah, it's going to be quite different. Every day is a new day here at the Tour of Britain. Yesterday, the Queen's Stage, loads of climbing, that massive finish up onto the Great Orme. What can we expect as the riders come into the finish here in Warrington today?
I think there'll be slightly different riders to the 4 today. Flat finish, you know, slightly more dangerous probably, but, you know, sprinters like that kind of thing.
You think we're going to see a bit of a truce on the GC today?
I think we will. I think we'll see the, you know, riders like Mark Cavendish, Andrew Greipel kind of duke it out on this kind of finish.
Yeah.
It's definitely one for them.
I hope so. Let's have a closer look now at today's 5th stage.
There is a comparative respite for the riders on stage 5 with over 30 kilometres before the first sprint in Congleton. Blackie Bank is the first of 3 small Skoda King of the Mountains climbs, with the fantastically named Bottom of the Oven coming before Bakestone Dale Road. The final 2 chances for points come in Wilmslow and Chelford. The peloton then has 35 kilometres to gather its forces before a potential sprint finish into Warrington. Alderley Park offers more than 1 million square feet of high-specification lab and office space. The park is also home to a wide range of amenities, including an on-site gym, sports pitches, pub and restaurants. Warrington has a bustling town centre with great shopping, leisure and hospitality on offer, most notably at the award-winning Warrington Market. It's famed for its iconic Grade 2 listed Golden Gates, which will provide the unique backdrop for the finish of Stage 5.
Certainly could be an opportunity for Mark Cavendish today. He's won more stages here at the Tour of Britain than any other racer. What do you think, Pippa?
I think it's definitely one for him. Bit of a corner at the end, you know, he likes that kind of, as you would say, technical finish, so ideal for him.
Anyone else we can look out for? Dan McClay maybe, and he's got a kick on him.
Yeah, so there's a number of riders. I think we'll see the young GB guys have a go today. They like this kind of stuff.
Yeah, be good to see that. Yeah. Okay, let's hear from some of the main protagonists now.
Well, I was born just down the corner from the finish line. I think someone told me before it's about 1 kilometre away. So home load to me today, and it'd be it should also suit me the stage as well. So hopefully the stage I can try and get up there.
Parcours-wise, there are not a lot of opportunities to get a sprint. So today on the paper it looks like a possibility for a sprint. So yeah, we try our best to be up there and yeah, fight for a stage victory.
Yeah, I think if you look to the profile, I think there's a possible sprint today. So yeah, we will try and go for me today, and we will see what it will come out.
I think the Koenig will try to go for Kev, definitely, and yeah, okay, Jumbo can go every day, so it's up to them to decide, but we will go for it, definitely.
High time we all got off the finishing straight here in Warrington and got straight to the racing with your commentary team of former British national champion Adam Blythe alongside Ned Bolting.
Thank you very much, Matt. A high-tech setting to get things underway here. Alderley Park, home to a prolific amount of scientific research establishments. Indeed, 80,000 COVID tests are processed at Alderley Park every single day. Short stage, 152.2 kilometres as Mick Bennett gets them underway. Mark Cavendish on the front. Adam, in really good spirits again. Smiling, that's always a good sign, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a good sign, yeah. I think these roads for Mark, they're not his home roads, but he'll have trained a lot around here when he was on the track up there in Manchester, the velodrome, so Ethan Hayter as well, technically all his home roads. So a lot of the riders, although they're not necessarily from here, I think everyone that's been within GB, Ethan Hayter, the GB lads, in fact, these will all be roads that they are very familiar with, and for Mark himself also.
Nice to see Robin Carpenter still in that red Sprint jersey that he's loaned from Jake Scott, who leads that classification. Scott alongside him in the green jersey of the King of the Mountains. Alongside Sean Bennett, that's Steve Lampier in the black of St. Piran. Jumbo-Visma's Pascal Encon will be policing the move, making sure that none of the dangerous teams get representation at the front and just keeping an eye on things. And there appears to be a slight delay, potentially. It does look like Mick Bennett, the race director, is actually bringing the peloton to a virtual standstill again, just as he did yesterday. Must be a rider off the back. And it's going to be another standing start.
And up a climb.
Yeah.
Welcome back to stage 5 of the AJ Bell Tour of Britain. It was another virtual standing start today, but that didn't stop the attacks coming thick and fast as kilometre 0 passed and went. It was third time lucky for Dan Bigham of Ribble Weldtite as he and 4 others finally broke clear. He was joined by Nicholas Zukowski of Rally Cycling, Leon Mazzoni of St. Piran, Chris Blevins of Trinity Racing, and that man once again, almost inevitably, Jacob Scott of Canyon DHB Sun God. The first sprint at Congleton came after the quintet past the incredible Jodrell Bank, with Scott being allowed to add to his iceberg sprint points. The green jersey had to fight for maximum Skoda King of the Mountains points, though, at Blackie Bank immediately afterwards. As we rejoin our commentary, the break is still clear at the brilliantly named bottom of the oven climb.
Well, we haven't seen the official start of the climb yet, but according to the information on the screen, they should be on it already. Doesn't really make any odds. They are basically climbing now. The bottom of the oven climb, officially 1.6 kilometres in length, 6.5% the average gradient, steep all the way to the top. And at the top, I understand, very big crowds have gathered. I mean, this is the high point of today's stage. It's a big populated, heavily populated area down in the valley now, and a lot of people know these roads extremely well, and they will have been riding out en masse to catch a glimpse of the race coming. You can see the cars all parked up at the side of the road. Already the applause is starting to ring in their ears, and really the serious bit of climbing is only now about to start.
They are at the bottom of the oven.
Which is a pretty lowly place to be. Heading towards the Cat and Fiddle, almost, and then they'll drop down the Cat and Fiddle climb. Blevins in conversation with Mazzoni there. Jake Scott just inserting himself in between the two.
This might be a little chat now within this, just to say, right, we're at 2:24. They're obviously riding us back. There's 2 things to do. They can really push on or back off, bring that breakaway back a little bit too close, so the peloton will then sit up and then really sort of push on after that. You know, once the peloton sits up, relax a little bit, get them too close, as I said, and then drop the hammer, take them by surprise, bring that gap out to 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes in the space of 2 or 3 kilometres, and put the pressure on the chasing peloton a little bit more.
There in the distance, you can see the crowds just up that really steep section. It flattens off a little bit.
Yeah.
Tight left-hander at the top, and then they start to drop down for quite a long way, about 6 miles, 12, 13 kilometres all the way to the bottom, and go through Macclesfield and then start to climb again.
Chris Blevins is in conversation and in some sort of communication with his team car, presumably with Ian Stannard, who's calling the shots for the Trinity Racing team, and Jürgen Rollins. An experienced couple of cars, that is.
Yeah.
Mason Holliman looking so comfortable.
He is. It's been great to watch him, actually. A young rider doing so well, and a standout bit for me so far was that team time trial for him.
Yeah.
Being able to hang on as he did and play a small part in such a big role.
Been handed a huge responsibility, really, because with the exception of Mason Holliman, he's got a very experienced team. Dan Martin, Michael Woods, Reto Hollenstein, Andre Greipel. I mean, that is and Alex Dowsett, of course, a huge, you know, there's lots of Grand Tour stage wins in amongst that. Nick Sikowski going long from Rally Cycling. Jake Scott, he would have anticipated that. This is a bit of a replay of what we saw last time. Scott on his wheel, and Scott once again looking to get round him, but is Sikowski going to hold on this time? Scott now opening up his sprint, challenging him to the line. Has he timed it right? Yes, he has. Once again, Jake Scott had to dig very deep there to deny the Canadian, but once again he did it.
He did it, and trying to take him by surprise where we could see the face. It's the first time we've really seen that front-on shot up a climb and really looking like he had to try for that one.
Yeah.
Great to see a little challenge there from the rider there to challenge Jake Scott. We've not seen that for a few days now, so to see a proper challenge like that is great.
Well, the finish line isn't the end of the climbing, is it? As they come to the main road there and round the corner onto the Cat and Fiddle climb in reverse, and they'll start to descend now down towards Macclesfield.
Yeah, we were stuck, weren't we?
The breakaway, though, in half at the moment. 3 riders off the back. Have those 2 pushed on?
Possibly. They've got a long way down this climb now, a lot of descending. It's a funny descent. The last bottom half of it is quite fast, but this part is not the fastest part of the course. There's a few little rollers in between, so it's not a super fast descent.
They're easing up.
Yeah.
Jake Scott is now on 53 points in the King of the Mountains competition. 28 ahead of his nearest rival, Robin Carpenter, who's back in the bunch. And he has 1 more climb, and it's not too far until he gets there. He goes over the top of the Bakestondale Road climb with 75.1 kilometres to go. So within the next 18 kilometres, he's got another opportunity to get 3 more points, which would take his gap to over 30 points.
Just shows that acceleration, doesn't it? How much time they take out of people. Just really pushing on the pedals. The peloton down at 2:15, but 2 riders out front there. You can just see them at the top of your screen, just relaxing, cruising along, but taking out sort of 15-20 seconds within 200 metres of a sprint. It's nice, isn't it?
Wide open vista. That Jake Scott was almost taking in for the first time. Admiring the position he finds himself in on the road, and the position he now finds himself in the King of the Mountains competition and the sprints competition. Has dominated it completely. Ever since we left Penzance, Jake Scott has owned these competitions. Robin Carpenter going off now. 5 riders off the front, and so Robin Carpenter, there are points available for the first 6, and Robin Carpenter picks up another point to move to 16 in the King of the Mountains competition. Nicholas Sessler is in second place at 25. I think Sessler was actually reacting, wasn't he?
Yep.
But Carpenter just picking up another point there to go to 16 in third place in the King of the Mountains competition. Might as well. And that was the surprise move, and it was a good move, wasn't it? He came from the middle of the pack there, and Jake Scott had to get round Chris Blevins, get on his wheel, and
just see the face of Scott. It's the first time we've seen a view like this, and he's properly had to try with it. And the first time, really, we've seen him being challenged that far, so closely to the line. He was really put under pressure there, which, you know, for us watching back home of wanting to see a real battle for it, it's great to watch. But I'm sure for Jake Scott, he's thinking, oh, I wish I didn't have to do that.
So Sikowski in second place, and then confirmation there right at the bottom that Robin Carpenter just stuck away from the front of the bunch to nick the final point available on the line at the bottom of the oven climb, the Cat 2 climb.
On the final Cat 3 climb at Bakestondale Road, Jacob Scott was allowed to take maximum points in the Skoda King of the Mountains competition. Time now, though, for a short break as the riders continue onwards towards Wilmslow and the next Iceberg Sprint. With everything gearing up for a bunch sprint into Warrington, Jake Scott was allowed to take maximum points in both the Iceberg sprints of Wilmslow and Chelford. The Koenig Quick-Step continuing to control things on the front in preparation for that man, Mark Cavendish. As we rejoin Adam and Ned, things are hotting up on the wet roads into the finish of Stage 5.
Will Bergfeld's still there in the white jersey. Won't be long before we see Jake Scott in the green jersey just dropping back, and it wouldn't entirely surprise me. You can see his teammates there. Rory Townsend bringing Matt Bostock towards the front in the blue of Canyon. Out of sight now, but they're on the left-hand side of the road, right-hand side of your picture. Wouldn't entirely surprise me to see Jake Scott just do a few more kilometres if he can on the front here, trying to set things up for his sprinter, Matt Bostock, when he does eventually get caught. Here he is, right on cue, looking round. Now, if he's got the legs, he will just try and do a little bit more for his team if he can.
Yep. I think with a big day tomorrow as well, he'll do as much as he can, but as little as he can. We see Dan Bingham still on the front.
You're absolutely right, as much as he can, and simultaneously as little as he can get away with.
Yep, definitely. And we've not seen him come off the front yet. We don't know if he's rotated around, if the other riders haven't done a turn, but ultimately he is also dragging these riders to the finish if he's happy to sit on the front. So if I was him, I'd get off the front. He's obviously got good legs still, so he just needs to get off the front, and if he wants to do this, don't drag the other riders to the line. Get off the front and then launch an attack. All that he's doing now is helping his compatriots in this breakaway rather than himself.
Sean Bennett's gone pretty deep now. He's been primarily responsible, Sean Bennett, for the damage that's been done to the time gap. When he got on the front, it was around about 1 minute and 15, 1 minute and 20 seconds, so 50 seconds or so, mostly due to the pace setting in principle by Sean Bennett.
Bingham's on the back now, so having a rest.
34 seconds, 15.1k to go. Sunshine, water on the roads, and a peloton that has this quartet now in their sights, and when the road straightens out, they'll start to see them.
See the riders, just all the shoulders starting to rock and roll a little bit now. They're into the thick of it. 34 seconds, 14k to go. So the gap bet went back out there with that acceleration. But he's slowly trickling down a little bit more. Getting on those turned-in levers, trying to get himself as aero as possible for his next turn coming on the front.
Yeah, you do get the sense, even though Bingham is clearly tiring like they all are, that he's the one with the most horsepower left in that group.
Yeah, I'd say so. And this is up his alley now, isn't it? All this aero gains that he tries to gather and does everything with his this is his flatland power S. He's done a lot of time trials, so this will be, you know, more suited to him now.
And he's on the front again. Now watch what might happen to the time gap, because right at the moment he is riding against Tim de Klerk. Both the riders have been off the front in their different ways, in their different groups, not off the front but on the front all day pretty much of this 152 kilometre stage, and right now they're riding against each other. But Tim de Klerk is holding Bingham at this point, so he's not able to ride away and pulls off fairly quickly from the front. So just you get the sense now, pedal stroke by pedal stroke, the momentum is ebbing away from this quartet of riders, and so too is the belief.
Yeah, I think with that big acceleration that he did there, it was brilliant. I think if he could have encouraged people to turn in that peloton a little bit, try and hold this gap for as long as possible, and if it came down closer to the finish, then, as we said, launch that attack, use that big power that he's got. We saw it when the gap went back out to almost 40 seconds very quickly. So if he's got that acceleration, don't drag people along with you in doing so. Just sit on the back, not sit on the back, but keep rotating through them, and then wait till you're closer to the finish, and then launch that big attack with that power and all these aero gains that he has. Okay, Samsic there in the red net, moving up slowly with their leader Dan McClay. They have Connor Swift probably leading him out, ex-British national champ.
A couple of Jumbo-Visma riders appearing at the front, but the race leader, there he is, just tucked in on the wheel of Julien Alaphilippe, detached from his train slightly. Will Bergfeldt, still part of this effort, and encouraged into it once again. Bergfeldt, just like Sean Bennett before him actually, just moved in. Mikel Honoré sitting in front of Davide Ballerini. Every time a rider just leaves the position at the front, he just drops a bike length off and just allows them to filter back in. Big attack from Dan Bingham. Huge acceleration. Left-hand side of the road has left them all behind. Wow.
Yeah, that's what he needed to do. Dragging them to the finish wasn't going to help him at all. So done what he needed to do, using the advantage that he's gathered between, you know, his engineering as helping him get off the front of these aero gains that he's got, and launching his sprint.
Well, straight away, these three, if they still want to be part of this, need to start sharing the work and work as a team. Because the longer that goes on and the battles continue, then Bingham might just get clear and they might start to squabble one with the other.
Yeah. See Jumbo-Visma moving up now. Their rider on the left-hand side, he just needs to back off a little bit, come back within that train. De Koning Quickstep have got the help there, and Bingham, these three riders just just holding him on at the minute. He's not riding off so far. That initial acceleration was enabled him to get off the front, but not riding away from these three riders as of yet.
Yeah, and they are sharing the work, aren't they? Chris Blevins taking over from Nick Zukowski and Leon Mazzoni straight away. They're working as a little three-man team time trial. There you go. Mazzoni replacing Blevins at the front. So if they'd started to look at one another, then Bigham might have had a chance. But actually, straight away, they understood the race situation.
Yeah, they did indeed. And you can just see now, just slowly bringing Bigham back a little bit. So obviously wanting to go out on his own and try and, you know, use his power to be able to ride away from them. But 1 against 3, sometimes obviously you can't read people as well. You can't understand how they're feeling. But he's just in front of them at the minute. But as we said, 3 against 1. They're not letting him go anywhere as of yet.
Still making it hard for them though, isn't he?
Still making it hard for them, but they won't have changed their pace too much.
Straight onto the motorbike again, Adam. Just a little bit of drafting that he can get. That's not his problem. That's nothing. You know, it is an infringement as Leon Mazzoni drops away. So it's just 2 now. And if they're going to catch Bigham, they need to catch him pretty fast.
Yeah, 11Ks to go, 25 seconds.
I mean, in the end of the day, it might all be, probably all will be slightly irrelevant, but they're making a good fist of it, trying to stay away. And they're making the peloton work hard, Will Bjergfeldt now, to definitively shut this move down. 24 seconds.
It's not far to go. You can see Ineos Grenadiers on the right-hand side, just under those trees, just there. Richie Port sat on the front of them. 24 seconds, 11K to go. It's definitely within reach, and it shouldn't be a problem catching these riders. But at the moment, as we've seen Yves Lampard doing such a good job of trying to get other people to ride, I wonder how long it will be before he decides to go to the front. As you can see, 24 seconds when they're travelling at this speed is a long way.
10.7 kilometres. Bigham has been caught then. So, Zukowski, Bigham, and Blevins, a Canadian, British rider and an American on the front, mountain bike world champion. And they're making no impact at the moment. The gap is solidly 26, 27 seconds, even going out with the same riders still working on the front. It's actually Sean Bennett and Bjergfeldt, with occasional turns still from the almighty Tim de Klerk, who are riding at this point.
Yeah.
10 kilometres to go. Sean Bennett on the front, Will Bjergfeldt, Tim de Klerk, and a stubborn bit of resistance from the remnants of the original 5-man breakaway. Just 3 riders out front, and they're proving hard to shut down as the Ineos Grenadiers now come charging up the centre of the road.
Yeah, it's slowly coming up. You can see the swell of the peloton now. More riders moving up to the front, more teams wanting to come up to the front. That will push the pace even more. So even though to Tim de Klerk's on the front, naturally the pace will start to increase now. As you see Yves Lampard, look, finally he's come to the front. Tim de Klerk's job is done. Yves Lampard on the front, or is it Ballerini? Yves Lampard sat on his wheel. This gap slowly now starts to tumble even quicker and quicker and quicker. But look at the speed they're going, all of them. Big ring, biggest gears, damning him, stretching his back out.
Chris Blevin starting to shake out those thighs as if he's preparing to sprint, Julian Alaphilippe style, as we enter the outskirts of Warrington. Look at the crowds here. This is fabulous. Fabulous. Not an umbrella in sight, just warm sunshine and huge support at the side of the road.
Warm sunshine, but crucially still, Ned, wet roads, damp roads, which is sometimes the worst. You can see a few dry spots coming on the road there. That can be really a big danger for the riders, you know, wet spots, damp spots. Some corners will be dry, you can take flat out. The other corners damp, so you won't be able to take as quick, and that can be a surprise for these riders behind, where you think it's dry, you come around the corner and it's sodden wet.
Leon Mazzoni is about to be swept up by the breakaway. That will leave just those 3 out front. He's the second rider after Jake Scott to be caught, but the St. Piran rider in his second breakaway. It's about to come to an end. Nonetheless, has flown those colours with pride today in the break, and is only caught in the final 8.4 kilometres by Yves Lampard with the world champion Julian Alaphilippe on his wheel.
3 breakaway diners doing a great job at the minute, just giving it everything they got, trying to hold on to the finish. Let's not forget, with that time gap, these riders will start to play around in the finish. If they get there, they'll start to mess around a little bit. They won't want to pull turns, so that's naturally 7, 8, 9 seconds that they'll gain from them. So they just need to hold on to what they've got and work together as best they can.
There's Ethan Hayter in the light blue jersey of the points competition with his Ineos Grenadiers teammates. Now, it is possible, even if this stays all the way together and it's a bunch sprint and there are no splits, it is possible for Ethan Hayter to take the race lead from Wout van Aert today, and it's not totally improbable either. But, and it's a big but, he'd have to finish top 3, and he'd have to finish ahead of Wout van Aert. If he does that, whether it's first or second, if he finishes ahead, or third indeed, if he finishes ahead of Wout van Aert, he will reassume the race lead he lost yesterday.
Yep. It's going to be a close one. It's going to be an interesting one, and then you throw the other sprinters into the mix. There's so many things that can happen through this, and ultimately one of those riders might score points. Wout van Aert might score, Ethan Hayter might not score, so the gaps could grow for Wout van Aert as well.
Absolutely, and he'll be fully intending to make sure that's exactly what happens. Wout van Aert picking up, he will hope, stage win number 3 in the 2021 AJ Bell Tour of Britain.
14 seconds now, 7.3k to go. That acceleration from Yves Lampaert, I believe, is still on the front. Looks to be Richie Porter, is it Kwiatkowski?
Kwiatkowski, I think.
Or is it Owain Doull?
Could be.
I think they keep Owain Doull for the final there. Richie Porter by the looks of things, but yeah, the gap has come down 11 seconds now, 7k to go. So that acceleration, as we said, from Yves Lampaert, and just that wet corner. Look even back to that last Deceuninck quick-step rider right at the back there. Just slowly be distanced a little bit, and that's just through the dampness of the corners.
Yves Lampaert, what a cool customer he is, the former Belgian national road race champion and Belgian time trial champion. Phenomenally versatile rider and very, very experienced, and just brutishly strong, like most of the Deceuninck quick-step team.
These riders, though, doing good job at the minute, all taking the turn at the front together, all committing to this stage.
Sharing the work really well, Zakowski, Blevins and Bigham.
It's Kwiatkowski there on the front, which I'm quite surprised that he's doing the work on the front there. He's
so's he, I think.
Yeah.
he's dropping back, isn't he?
Dropping back. I think he'd be a crucial man for Ethan Hayter today for the lead out, as alongside Owain Doull there. I think Kwiatkowski was the last man in the lead out into that stage 2 where Ethan Hayter got second.
Hayter's just latched onto a duo of DSM riders, Niels Eekhoff and Max Kanter, I would hazard a guess, as Tim de Klerk finally lets those broad shoulders droop and drops away right way, drops like a stone through the peloton.
Yep, 15 seconds now, those twists and turners, not much to gain for the peloton through there, but you could just see the rocking and rolling of Bingham there, just giving it absolutely everything he's got towards his finish.
Well, the mind does go back in some ways to that famous stage of the Tour de Yorkshire a couple of years ago, where Harry Tanfield, in very similar circumstances, just somehow managed to stay away and they couldn't catch him. Yep. Just a handful of seconds is all that is required to thwart the ambitions of the bunch sprint.
Yeah, definitely, and it's within them. You know, the riders that are in there, very capable, very strong riders, especially Dan Bigham. You know, he's very good at time trials, very equipped, ready for today's stage, ultra aero, everything. So it wouldn't surprise me, you know, he'll have studied this finish, he knows what he's got to do. Seemingly, it looks like he had better legs than he even thought. He had one point we thought he was suffering, then the next minute he's on the attack.
Well, Ineos Grenadiers still looking around. Kwiatkowski's looking around. Hayter's on the wheel of is that Owain Doull on his wheel, but Deceuninck Quick-Step are having to do this and take the responsibility of shutting this move down, and those 13 seconds remain stubbornly present on the screen. Now it ticks down to 12. But 5 kilometres to go. Still very much advantage peloton, but look how hard they're having to work.
Yeah, Yves Lampaert gritting his teeth absolutely flat out, and that just shows that's fresh legs. Don't forget, and Bigham and these riders have been out the front all day long, so they are doing a brilliant job at the minute and just coming out of the corners, sprinting out of every corner, taking maximal risk through all the corners, absolutely flat out. 4.7 to go, 10 seconds. Ineos Grenadiers now come to the front.
Now it's a long straight road until around about 2 kilometres to go, when they turn left-handed off a roundabout and it gets significantly more technical and narrow to the line as the Ineos Grenadiers take things up. Doull and Kwiatkowski on the front, and a crash at the back involving one of the Movistar riders.
Gab's colleague there.
It was colleague, yep. The Yorkshireman down, first rider to go down, hopefully the only one on these wet roads. At least the rain has abated, but difficult conditions here.
These corners are working into this breakaway's favour at the minute, you know, not being able to gain anything through speed. It's just the straight roads that you can do that on, and just into shot there now. So finally we see them within the same straight, but they are holding on well at the minute. 3.9k to go, still 11 seconds. Bingham flicks his elbow, asks for another turn.
Under the railway lines, and very much into Warrington now. Rodriguez gets on the front from the Ineos Grenadiers. So Ethan Hayter has his team working on the front to bring this back. Hayter backing himself to get the better of Wout van Aert if he can in the sprint and try and wrestle control once again of the Tour of Britain, having surrendered it on the climb to Great Orme yesterday. 10 seconds now, still with 3.6 kilometres to go. But there they are. Now they can see them, and now they can gauge their effort a bit more accurately.
Yves Lampaert being able to have a breather there, back into second wheel, so big sort of 4 or 5 kilometre turn on the front for Yves Lampaert, a little bit of rest and he's back into that second wheel. Rodriguez on the front, 8 seconds now, 3.4k to go.
Cavendish now very much engaged in this. You can see him there just drifting around on the wheel of his lead-out man, Davide Ballerini, who's going to have to pilot him a la Michael Murcu to victory. Aware of the presence of Wout van Aert, but Van Aert playing a much cooler game. The Jumbo-Visma train further back down the line, depleted in resources by the absence of Tony Martin, but he's playing a patient game. 7 seconds now, 3 kilometres to go.
You can just see Rodriguez there on the front, just like tensing his arms, tensing his muscles. He's giving it absolutely everything. He's got slamming down the gear one, pushing a little bit bigger gear. I think that'll be his last turn there. Corner coming up. Even on race radio, maybe some traffic ahead, 6 seconds now. So These corners helping these riders at the minute. You know, every corner they take, they're not going to gain much time in that peloton on them. And Megan finally pulling the turn. He's got his mouth wide open like he's trying to chew the air.
They're going to catch them. I'm pretty sure they're going to catch them, but it's going to be mighty late, isn't it? Zukowski now doing the next turn. And then Blethyn will be expected to contribute. It's been a mighty ride from these three. And they're making the De Koning Quick-Step train and Ineos Grenadiers turn themselves inside out to shut this move down for once and all. This pesky trio of riders who at the moment are just making it harder than it need be.
Yeah, they definitely are indeed. In 2.3 gates to go, 5 seconds. A couple of corners, they've still not caught them yet. I know they're going to have the lead-out start, they're going to have the fresh legs, but with this rain, the damp roads, there's not many lead-out trains in there. I just got a shot of Matt Gibson, the ribbon well-tight rider there, teammate of the man in front, Dan Bigham.
Well, they're not going to ride, are they? There's Gibson. You can see him drifting around in that identical kit to Dan Bigham. I think it's Lampaert still on the front. He's already done a huge amount of work and is expected to finally bring them home, and he does. 1.9k to go. It's Lampaert on the front. Lampaert pushing for this trio. When he gets there, he has done his job, but it's within the final 2 kilometres. They're still not quite there, but Yves Lampaert, with a few more pedal revolutions, will get there.
Just at the bottom of your screen there, just behind Alaphilippe, Ballerini moving up with Mark Cavendish. We've not seen Cavendish in quite a while. We saw a little glimpse of him, but he'll have been tucked right away. Wout van Aert, look.
No lead down.
Moving by the looks of things. Alaphilippe on the wheel. Two of the greats just going arm to arm.
The two riders who did battle up the Great Orme yesterday as Julien Alaphilippe just flicks the wheel from side to side, twitchy like ever. The breakaway is caught. Kwiatkowski and Doul have control with Ethan Hayter on his wheel. Then comes Julien Alaphilippe, Davide Ballerini and Mark Cavendish. Alongside him, Wout van Aert. This is the battle we've been anticipating. Serrano from Movistar also lurking around there with Gibson and Cantor riding the wheels of Wout van Aert.
Big turn this for Kwiatkowski now on the front. He's only got Owain Doul left in front of him. So last kilometre, just under that last kilometre to go. But now James Shaw moving up on the left-hand side with Matt Gibson. Mark Cavendish just sat behind his teammate Ballerini in front of him. Alaphilippe, Wout van Aert on Cavendish's wheel.
Rory Townsend, I think that is, instead of Matt Bostock in the colours of the blue colours of Canyon, as Julien Alaphilippe takes a wide line round this left-hander inside 700 metres to go. And the Ineos Grenadiers down, and is Hayter down there? Where's that light blue jersey? I think Hayter's gone down. As we look round, Kwiatkowski may not be aware of that. There's Julien Alaphilippe. Where's Cavendish?
He's still riding hard.
Cavendish is sprinting to try and get across that gap.
Still there.
Hayter is there. There is the light blue jersey of Ethan Hayter. Perfectly placed on the wheel of Colin Joyce from the rally team. Then Julien Alaphilippe. Hayter is there. Cavendish battling to get back on terms and to get into this sprint. There's a rider from...
Cavendish is back on the front, moving onto the wheel of Hayter. Look, Hayter's starting to move.
Where's Wout van Aert? There's Giacomo Nizzolo. Van Aert not in the frame at the moment. What an opportunity this is for Ethan Hayter. Hayter opens up his sprint. Cavendish on his wheel. Nizzolo threatening. Cavendish just blocked there as Hayter takes the line. Moves to the front. Ethan Hayter takes the win, takes the jersey. It's perfect for Ethan Hayter. It's perfect for the Ineos Grenadiers, losing the jersey yesterday, riding to victory today, and back into control of the Tour of Britain in the most dramatic of circumstances.
Wow, what a finish. Wout van Aert there coming a cropper in that crash. It looked to be Owain Doul that fell off there, and then Wout van Aert coming a cropper, so not being able to contest the sprint, but even so, Ethan Hayter against Mark Cavendish, Giacomo Nizzolo, two of the fastest sprinters in the world, just showing him a clean pair of heels, not being able to even come near him at the finish line there.
This is the moment that Mark Cavendish has to check his sprint, almost sits up there. That's probably the end of his challenge. Hayter just drifting across. There's nothing wrong with that sprint. Nizzolo there with a free rein to lunge for the line, but nothing that he could do to hold off Ethan Hayter, who bossed that sprint. No other word for it. Ethan Hayter dominated that sprint and surfed all the chaos to triumph here in Warrington. The perfect result for the British rider in Cheshire, the Ineos Grenadier taking the sprint from Giacomo Nizzolo and Mark Cavendish. Ethan Hayter taking a fantastic win for the team in Warrington. His lead is 8 seconds from the previous race leader Wout van Aert and 19 seconds to world champion Julian Alaphilippe. The AJ Bell Tour of Britain blue race leader's jersey back on the shoulders of the Londoner. He also retains the Sports Breaks points jersey for his consistency over all 5 stages.
There's a few concoctions and I'm going to have to watch certain people trying to slide up the road, I think. But yeah, you know, of course it's not over, but I'm in a comfortable position, I'd say.
No surprise that Jake Scott keeps hold of the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey and has increased his lead in the Iceberg Sprints competition after making the break yet again.
He's done it again. He's got the jersey back off Wout van Aert. Ineos Grenadiers Ethan Hayter is with Pippa and me here just by the finish line where he won. But Ethan, take us about 200 or 300 metres back that way and the build up to the win, because it was a tight left-hander and unfortunately Owain Doull came down in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, the team were really good. The hard work was kind of done by that corner, you know. 10k, 20k, 30k out, we were in position really. And as it got twisty and technical, we were right at the front and it was perfect. So we finally got to that corner and I took it a bit easy, to be honest, because I knew it came all the way back round and it would keep coming. And I kind of wanted to let 1 or 2 riders in because still 700 metres to go from the corner.
So you wanted people in front of you? You don't want to just go from it at that point?
A couple of guys did drift in, yeah. And then I saw Doull start, he was drifting right, and he finally went. And his bike was still going right. And the barriers, these finish barriers are right, but a bit further back, the feet come out as well. So I squeezed in between his bike and the feet somehow.
You managed to go for the sprint though, but you still got the big names like Nizzolo and Cavendish around you. Just describe what you're thinking as the finish line is approaching.
Honestly, I had no idea. You don't look behind with that close to the finish. So it could have been 5 of us, or there could have been everyone. I don't know exactly what happened. And I kind of left it quite late and didn't get the perfect run because I was still a bit in shock of like the situation and still being on my bike. But I was putting my biggest gear in. I think that Nizzolo was coming on my left. And I could kind of see him under my shoulder but he still looked forward. Kind of, you can just about get a glance. I was like, oh, he's coming, he's going to have me. But I managed to hold on.
So can I ask, how are you managing this situation? Because coming into the Tour of Britain, we were all talking about Julian Alaphilippe versus Wout van Aert. And now there's Ethan Hayter, 22 years old, sprinting with them, climbing with them, and now leading them.
Yeah, it's really weird. This whole year has been a massive step up for me. And with the team time trial, I think I've now won 8 or 9 races. So it's crazy. Yeah, just to be racing against these guys is really it's quite fun for me, to be honest.
Ethan, another day of work to do tomorrow. Stage 6 coming up. Let's have a closer look at it now.
On leaving Carlisle on stage 6, there are 2 sprints at Motherby and then in Penrith before the peloton heads across the Pennines and the start of the climbing. There are 3 Category 1 Skoda King of the Mountains at Hartside, Kilhope Cross and Bertree Fell as the teams head across the country. For those that are left, there is the final sprint at Prudhoe and the finish underneath the iconic Angel of the North.
We knew today, or we thought today was going to be a bit of a sprint finish, and so it came to pass. 3 Cat 1 climbs tomorrow for you, Ethan. 3,000 metres of climbing. What's the plan?
I wasn't quite expecting to take the jersey today, to be honest. And it could be very explosive quite early on, I think.
Yeah, you've got to defend over some big climbs.
But now we've got 6, well, I hopefully won't have to do too much work, but 5 really strong guys with me, so I think we can do it.
Good luck, Ethan. Good to see you again. Pippa, thanks to you as well. Live coverage of tomorrow's stage 6 right across the Pennines, finishing under the Angel of the North. Starts at 10:30 in the morning here on ITV4. Highlights once more at 8 o'clock. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.